When I tell you that, do you let me babysit your children?
No.
So you have been the parent or the babysitter who's using ecstasy every day, babysitting your children, and that means you're not a good parent.
Welcome to the bench of justice.
All right, you ready, Deanna? Court is calling 2022. If everyone could please whisper, 2022 CR 10140, State of Texas versus Leroy Johnson. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Gearhan, Your Honor.
Defense.
Robert Porter for Mr. Johnson.
And are you Mr. Johnson? We're here for sentencing. You entered a plea of no contest on January 19th. You made an application for deferred adjudication. According to the plea bargaining agreement, the state waived the deadly weapon allegation. Punishment was to be assessed at a cap of 6 years in the prison, and the state is silent on your application. They're taking certain items into consideration, and there's to be restitution, if any, to Hector Vega. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, any objections to the PSI report?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Defense?
Your Honor, yes.
All right, what are your objections?
We're standing before the court saying that the court is being misled as far as the cap evaluation.
Right, I'm sorry, just a moment. Excuse me, in the box, if you all could either whisper or not speak in the box while we're on the record so that the court reporter can hear. All right,
I'll speak up a little louder, Judge.
thank you.
We're going to stand before the court and say that the cap evaluation is not correct, nor if anything else was correct as far as his drug use is concerned.
All right, so what is your correction to the tap?
He does have a drug issue, Your Honor. Ecstasy and meth daily. At issue, Judge, is we visited about what was going on and why we're doing what we're doing today is simply this. Mr. Johnson was always thinking, okay, what's the easiest way that I could get out the quickest type of deal. After he did this evaluation, we got to thinking about it. I said, no, I need help. I need to do that so I can quit lying to myself and quit lying to society, quit lying to everybody. And I said, well, you've told him this, and that's not true. That is true. And I want drug help. So I guess my objection would simply be that when they're sitting there saying that there's no recommendation that it's just cannabis use and then alcohol way back when. It is true he doesn't drink much alcohol at all, or use marijuana much, but he uses ecstasy and meth.
All right, anything else with regards to the actual report?
Everything else is fine.
All right, anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Your Honor, having said that, it was refreshing to actually have an individual sit there saying, have reflection, and I'm sitting there to sit there and say, you know what, this is crazy for me to be doing what I'm doing. I do want help. So respectfully requesting this court to grant his application for giving drug treatment.
All right, so what the court has concern about is number 8 in the PSI report. It's on page 5. And I'd like to know what is meant by this type of behavior before.
Well,
That's what the complainant is saying. The complainant says that he's engaged in this type of behavior before.
no. Well, Judge, I don't think I could speak.
I'm so sorry. That's me misreading. He stated that if the defendant has a history of this type of behavior, he does not think he should get probation. But if this wasn't an isolated incident, he can understand him being given another chance.
Right. So
I'm sorry, my misreading. So, Mr. Johnson, you waived your right to remain silent when you entered this plea. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. State your name for the record, please.
Leroy Johnson.
All right. So I'm gonna need you to speak up so that I can hear.
Oh, Leroy Johnson.
So explain to me about your drug use.
I take ecstasy every day, like all day. That's it. So much ecstasy, I get delusional.
I can't hear you.
I said after so much ecstasy, I guess I went delusional. Went outside. Shoot.
Are you in your children's life at all?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Because it doesn't appear that you're a good parent.
I don't always do that. I went delusional. I was seeing.
No. I want you to focus on the questions that I'm asking.
No.
My next question for you is, are you in the lives of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
How often had you been seeing them before this?
I have my children there all the time on the weekends and holidays.
Who's letting you have children on the weekend and holidays when you use ecstasy daily?
I'm still a good parent.
All right, let me ask you a question. How old are your children?
10, 7, and 8.
All right, so they're 10, 7, and 8.
We're going on, 10, 7, and 6. Excuse me.
10, 7, and 6, right? All right, so let's say you're going to have your children for the weekend, and you want to have your children for the weekend. An emergency comes up, and the mother of the children and no other relative can keep them. But somebody tells you, hey, I know someone who's a great babysitter, and it's me. They tell you, get Stephanie Boyd. I know you have your emergency. She's a great babysitter. You say, I don't know. And somebody says, well, let me give you her references. They give you my references. You call and check. Everybody says, Stephanie Boyd is a great babysitter. And as a matter of fact, she's the best babysitter in the world. And you say, well, I still don't know. Let me just have her come over and see if my children like her or not. So you stay with me and you stay with the children for an hour. The children love me. They're all over me saying, Daddy, please let her be our babysitter while you go off on this important thing you have to do. And finally you say, okay, Stephanie, I'm going to want you to call me every hour, but I'm going to let you babysit my children because children like you. And I got all these great recommendations from everybody saying you're great. You don't have any criminal history. I'm going to let you babysit my children. And I'm excited because you're saying, I'm going to pay you $70 an hour. I'm like, great. And so as you're leaving, I say, well, there's something I really need to tell you that you may not know about me. I use ecstasy every day. When I tell you that, do you let me babysit your children?
No.
So you have been the parent or the babysitter who's using ecstasy every day, babysitting your children. And that means you're not a good parent. Because if you thought you were a good parent and using ecstasy, you would allow someone to babysit your children who use ecstasy. Do you understand? So I will tell you this. I'm going to give you a choice. And Mr. Porter will tell you, sometimes I can give people choices, sometimes I cannot give them choices. I can place you on probation. I'll give you a deferred adjudication, but you're going to safety because felony drug court will not accept you. We can have them look at you, but they're not going to accept you because of this gang affiliation issue. So you can either wait and go to SafeP. SafeP is a 9-month program. SafeP, you're going to spend 6 months inside the facility. And then there's 3 months of aftercare. So you can do that, or I will sentence you to 4 years prison. So you can discuss that with your attorney. Mr. Porter, do you need to discuss that with him?
I would like to, Your Honor.
All right, so we are back on the record in 2022 CR 10140, State of Texas versus Mark Johnson. Has your client made a decision?
Yes, Judge, it was a quick decision. He had already paid up with this, he just wanted to go some legalities of it, but he got to try.
Okay. All right, then this is what the court will do. Court will sentence you to 8 years deferred adjudication. I'm going to want gang supervision. Proof of employment. Within 30 days of release. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors, Mr. Porter. Once he's in his sobriety, then the court may consider that. But for now, no unsupervised contact with minors. Ms. Abrams, I don't know if Child Protective Services is involved in this case or not, but if they are, I'm going to want CPS compliance. I'm going to want regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Field visits 3 times per month. A referral to felony drug court. And if he's not accepted in felony drug court, then I'm going to want safety. And he's to remain in custody until accepted. In felony drug court or safety. There's to be restitution and no contact with Hector Vega. Taking consideration 2022 CR 10141, 2022 CR 10142. The UA hotline upon release. And he's to be tested at least once a week. And state, you can, I'm sorry, state, I meant probation. You can lower that as you all see is appropriate. And I'm going to want 90 meetings in 90 days upon release. Probation, is there anything else he needs? I'm sorry, parenting classes. And those parenting classes will be with Triple P. 250 hours of community service restitution. 40 of those hours will be waived if you provide proof of the COVID vaccination. Court is not requiring you to get the COVID vaccination, but if you do, 40 of those hours will be waived. The remaining hours will be waived upon completion of parenting classes. Probation, is there anything else he needs? Is there anything else you need for me to be successful on this probation? All right, why you have your head back like you're trying to be hard with me? All right, so do not come to the court trying to be hard because this is not the streets. You understand? Do you understand? All right, thank you.
This courtroom moment captures a critical turning point for Leroy Johnson, a man standing before the judge after pleading no contest, hoping for a second chance instead of prison. At first, Johnson tries to minimize his situation, but things quickly unravel when he admits to using ecstasy daily. The judge doesn't ignore that. Instead, she zeroes in on what matters most: his children. When asked about his role as a father, Johnson struggles to give clear answers. He admits he sees his kids occasionally, on weekends and holidays, but the judge isn't convinced. That's when she delivers a powerful analogy that changes the entire tone of the courtroom. She asks him a simple question: would you trust someone who uses drugs every day to babysit your children? Johnson has no real answer. And in that moment, the truth hits hard. He's been putting his own children in the exact situation he wouldn't trust in others. Now the judge is faced with a decision. Prison is on the table, but so is rehabilitation. After a brief break to speak with his attorney, Johnson makes his choice. The judge sentences him to 8 years deferred adjudication, a strict form of probation that gives him a chance to stay out of prison, but only if he follows every rule. And those rules are intense. He must complete drug treatment, submit to weekly testing, attend 90 meetings in 90 days, and stay under close supervision. He's banned from unsupervised contact with minors, even his own children, until he proves sobriety. The judge makes one thing clear. This is not a free pass. This is his last chance. One mistake and he's going straight to prison.